Hill. And so first of all, I thought what I would do is ask you guys, I know that we've kind of gone back and forth over time, and I think Christy might have talked to you as well, but what are you guys looking to learn about the Vision LMS versus the system that you're on right now? There's a lot in here, so I want to make sure that I do focus on the items that you guys have more of a concern for. So tell me what you're looking for.
Well, Jillian, if I could speak up, I kind of wanted to, I've actually been the one speaking with Christy the most recently, and we want to make sure that we're doing more consistent training. I want to make sure that, and I've been trying to get our managers up to speed on the Grace Hill training that we have already, and a couple of the things that Christy talked to me about with the accountability and assistance from Grace Hill, with making sure that our team is doing their training on time and getting the best up-to-date knowledge that they need. That's really kind of what we're looking for. And then that virtual onboarding that I attended last week, that was very interesting as well. So I wanted to kind of get the rest of our senior management team to get some understanding of the new products and services that you provide, so that we can decide which direction we want to head for our company.
That sounds great. Well, I think what I will do first is just to kind of remind you guys, I'm going to jump to the system that you're on right now. And so when your teams log into Grace Hill, they go into the courses. All of the courses that are in your package are going to be listed there. So they'll be able to have access at any time. I know that we've probably worked with you on setting up a training schedule, so everybody kind of knows what courses are due when. So they can go in, take them. If there's a course, maybe it's a housekeeper and they want to take leasing for a living, they can definitely do that and just click that course. So they have access to all the courses in your catalog. There's also the reporting, where you guys can go in and pull the reports, and Jardine can pull and see everything that's going on and who's taken what and what their scores were. The one area in this system that we have that is a little more, I guess, time-consuming as far as the reports is our reports here are going to show you everybody who has started a course and completed it, and also those that have started it but not finished it yet. The one piece of the puzzle in this area that's missing is those people that haven't paid attention to anything that you've told them to do, and they have never gotten in and taken training. In order to find that out, you'd have to pull reports and kind of keep up with a manual spreadsheet in order to do it. I was a client of Grace Hill for about, I guess, 7 years ago, and I was with them for 2 years, and I kept up. I'm an Excel spreadsheet nerd, so I kept up with everything, and it was very time-consuming, but I did it. So the one feature in the Vision LMS, which you will see here on my screen, this is the Vision LMS, so it's a private management learning center, and it is where your teams will not go to Grace Hill anymore to take training. They will come into a private URL that is specific to NHE, and they'll take their training there. And what will happen is we will do a whole lot of setup. It is a little bit of a lengthy process to get you guys set up, but it's a very robust system. And in that setup process, we'll actually work with you on getting everybody's information in, their employee name, their email address if they have a company-specific one, their employee ID number. And then what we do is, instead of just saying, hey guys, these are the courses you have access to and here's when they're due, we'll actually work with you on setting up a schedule in the system that, for instance, fair housing, from the date somebody's brand new to the company, they have to take it within 1 day. Maybe that's your parameters. And then after that, they have to take it every year. In this system, we set it up based on position, so you'll just choose what positions you want to take it based on those parameters of when it's due. The system does everything else for you. Those associates will get an email reminder telling them that they have a course coming up due. When they miss that deadline, it automatically emails them and says, hey, you passed your deadline date on this course, you need to go take it. They then get an email every single day until that course is completed. So there's no more kind of questioning or having to keep up with it because the system's doing it for you. So this area here, and I'm going to go into more detail, but I'm going to try to not completely overwhelm you because it is a lot of information. This area that I'm looking at right now is the administrative console, And this is where Jardine and whoever else she chooses will have access to this area where you can actually make assignments, you can pull reports, you can add different learning objects. But before I get into this one, I thought I would just show you exactly what the Learning Center looks like for the employees. And if you see up here in the right-hand corner, for those of you looking, there's some different icons up at the top. And if they have access to different areas of the system, they'll see an icon for that. But if they don't have access to reporting, they're not even going to see that icon. So we're now looking at the screen of a student. So when they log in, they'll see their dashboard. And on this dashboard, there's a picture that they'll be able to upload. This was actually a request by a lot of our clients because they thought, you know, hey, we're growing and we're getting so big, and I'll go to visit a property and we've hired new people and I don't know who's who, and I don't want to call someone the wrong name or, you know, have a conversation with someone and have to keep looking at their name badge. So they've even used it pulling up to a property. They're like, okay, this is this person. So it is nice for that. You do, if you have administrative console rights, you have the ability to eliminate their picture and turn it back into a silhouette. So if someone's got pictures of their weekend or their friends or family or dogs, then you can always remove it if you would like to. There is an area underneath the picture where it talks about alerts. This is where, as I mentioned, they're going to be getting those emails saying if a course is past due. Not only do they get that email every day, but they're also going to have an alert show up in their system that says, hey, this is the course that's due and this was the due date. There's a button there that you can check that says delete all alerts. Well, this is kind of, we've put in, I guess some coding would be the word, but something to where even if they delete it and say, I want to get that off my screen, the next day, if they don't meet that deadline and take the course, it pops right back up. So every day they're getting it in multiple areas that they should just really go take the class. Then there is a messages area, and this messages area is not connected to email in any way. It is an internal within the Vision LMS where anybody who has the administrative console rights will be able to message individuals or groups. So it is something I've found a couple of my clients, what they use it for is not every associate with the company has a company email address. So those email alerts might be going to the property manager, and maybe that person, Joe Blow, who is a groundskeeper, scored a perfect 100% on curb appeal class. And you want to not go through the manager to give them a congratulations. You can actually set up a meeting within the system and say, hey, I saw that you got a perfect score, great job, pat on the back, whatever it might be. Obviously, the more positive you can keep those messages, the more likely they are to actually click on them and read them. But we have had some other clients before that have done more of reminders of certain things that might be coming up or initiatives that you're working on, just to kind of remind people of maybe what some goals are that are going on. So that's those areas there. They can also see what their scores are. Now, because this is a demo and we're always doing stuff behind the scenes and they don't alert me to it, these numbers here, the user's overall score and their average score down here typically will match. So it's showing that I'm not very good, but again, I remind you this is a demo site. I'm always fabulous on my courses. But this graph here, there is one that shows what their average score is, and then it compares them to other associates at their property in their position as well as the overall company. So they can see right at a glance how they're comparing with their other team members. So hopefully that's a good thing and keeps everybody really motivated. At the bottom of the screen, it's going to show all of the top 5 courses coming up. So they could have 20 courses assigned to them, but it's only going to go based off of date order, and it's going to let you know what's going on. And it kind of changes, if you can see under the due by area, kind of color coding. Red is bad, green is good, and you know, it kind of goes on down there so they can see what's going on. And then it will show what type of training it is. So this is going to be an online course. There's a little person with a stick or a ruler that's instructor-led. There's webinars. So all of the different learning objects will have different icons so they can see what they're getting into. They can actually never even leave this page if they don't want to. So they'll come straight in, log in, and they can click right on this course here, and it'll begin loading the course. And actually, I'll click on it real quick just so you can see. So it just talks about the requirements. If you've put in any description of the courses, it'll show on the left, and they'll just simply click play, and that course will start loading. Very, very easy. On the right side, there's a little calendar. It just kind of shows what is coming up due for them, so they can see at a glance on a calendar when a certain course is, and you'll see this one shows on the 21st that fair housing course was due, and sure enough, it shows overdue over here. So everything kind of ties together. If they want to go and look at what else is coming up, they can click on their assignments, and this is going to show them everything that's been assigned to them. And keep in mind, they could have courses like this person has, in October, they have a course coming up due. Well, there's also, as I mentioned with fair housing, if someone's brand new and they take fair housing day one, the system knows that in a year they have to take it again. It will automatically assign and show that course due next year. So that way they're always on top of it, and it's always showing up in their vision so they can see what's going on. Okay, my library. Currently, in the system you're in, they can go in at any time and take any course that's in your catalog. They can do the same thing with this system, but it's set up just a little bit differently because we want them to focus on the courses that you guys have determined their positions need to take. So, and everything's assigned. But if there's a course that is not assigned to them and they're interested in, they can come in at any time and go under all of these different learning object tabs. So there's online courses, documents, external content, instructor-led, which we'll get to a little later. All of these tabs are here, so they could click on any of them and say, you know what, I want to review some documents. And you guys can go in and upload any documents that you want, assign them out to those that need to take them, but anything that's left over, they could go out and say, you know what, add this one to my book bag. Here's the book bag. So the book bag is really kind of like if you did go to the library and you check out 4 books. You're not going to read them all at the same time, but those are ones you're interested in, and they give you a certain time to be able to take them. In our system, the only difference is there's no expiration date. They can stay in here as long as they want. So just know that they'll show up. It will not show up as a due date on any reporting that you'll pull, but they can go in at any time and say, you know what, I'm not that interested in this, and they can remove it. Then My Achievements, very, very easy. It's going to show them everything that they've done, what their scores are, and they can email or print out their transcripts. The last tab is called My Employees. This is only going to be if you activate it, and it's only going to show up on Managers tabs. So the managers now will have access to all of their team members and what all that they've done. So if I click on that tab, if I'm the manager, I see this full list of all of my students. I can click on Lori Allen as she's at the top. It pulls up a picture of Lori, how her stats are, so that same dashboard that the individuals saw themselves when they logged in. And they will also see their username and password for the Vision LMS system. So they'll be able to go in, pull this up, and the manager can then say, okay, you forgot it. Well, here's your dates. It also shows up at the top the login. So you can see when they last logged in. So if they are falling behind on any courses, you can see it's probably because Lori hasn't been in here in the past 90 days. And then it gives them certain rights. Now this area, this role area, will not be seen by the managers. This is just for anyone with admin console rights to where they can assign certain roles, whether it's reporting or mobile apps, anything like that. But as a manager now, I could go in and say, okay, Lori, you're all caught up. The next course you have is in August that's due, so I think you're good. But if there was a whole lot of past due ones in here, then hopefully the manager would set aside some time to make sure that she gets caught up on her courses. All right. Any questions on the employees area and what they see? Everybody good? All right. I know you guys are on mute, so if you need anything, just speak up.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to jump to reporting now. So if you get reporting access, when you come into the reports area, it looks a little different. There's a lot of similarities with the old system, but just the look of it is quite a bit different here. So when you come in, you will see all of these different pins in the areas of where you have properties. You'll also see that they're different colors, red, green, and yellow. Same as a stoplight. Green is good, red is not good. So it shows you how compliant each of those properties are on the left-hand side. Say I only wanted to look at those that were not doing well. I just unclick them, and there's my one property that's not looking like it's doing so hot. So I can click on that pin. It will pull up the property itself. And there's another area where there's a picture. This is not one that's editable. We figured you did not want to have to keep up with a picture of all of your properties and upload them in here. So we've just got a little rendering that stays in there. But it lets you at least know kind of which area you're in. So if it looks like an apartment, you're in a location area. So this is helpful because it's going to show you, hey, they look great. Their average score is 90% and the company's only 86. So this property, when they take their training, they're doing really well. However, over here on the right-hand side at the bottom, we've got the active employees and how compliant each of them are. So we've got our leasing consultant that's only 40% compliant, maintenance guy's 57%. And what I always like to focus on is the property manager, because so many times I've been in training for many years, and if the managers aren't doing the training, the rest of the team isn't as well. So in this example, the manager is 60% compliant. We understand, and we know that you'll probably feel the same way. There's always times where certain properties are absolutely nutty. If it's any student housing, if it's different move-in times, whatever it might be, there's always things going on. But if you start seeing that it's a consistent pattern, it might be something to where you kind of boost everybody up and tell them, or kick them down, tell them they're going to get something taken away from them. So this will give you an overview on the properties. We also have in the reporting field in the middle, this is very, very similar to what you guys have access to now. This middle area that says build a new report, you'll just type in your dates, who you want to look at, what properties you're at. And the nice thing is, if you're over certain regions and you go in and you start clicking on all of these different properties, you can actually save that report once you build it and name it your own. So you could do Jardines region, and then when you come in the next time under My Reports, you'll see your own report you created, and all you'll have to do is change the reporting period, but you won't have to go click on so many different items. The biggest report that we have here, we have all of these that we've pre-built. So these are called quick reports, and they are ones that most of our clients pull all the time. The biggest one being the exceptions report, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it just so you can see how it looks. But this is your exceptions report, and will show you everybody that is past due on a certain course. There's all of these different headers are how you can sort the material. But over on the right-hand side, this is where I like looking. So it shows you how overdue they are on their courses. So you can see that Frances Richmond is past due 58 days on her time management course. Probably not the best course to be overdue on, so it means that you need to really get in there and take time management. But again, as you'll know, remember that I talked about earlier, they have got an email every single day saying that they're past due. So for almost 2 months, this course has been overdue. In the system, you'll be able to set up different groups. So if you guys happen to have different regionals or different people that you'll want, different areas of training, you can set up all of these different groups. And then when you go in, you can pull that group's report, and it will just show that group. So it's a little bit easier at that point just to say, okay, so we've got military housing here. They have 15 past due records. And you can click the email icon and send it to anybody that you want. If you want to send it to several people, just put a comma and you can send that out. And you can also do just like what you can now, and you can export to an Excel document and sort it however you would like. Any questions on reports so far? You guys are a quiet bunch, and I think it's because a lot of you are traveling right now, so don't feel that you have to jump in unless it's necessary, but please feel free to interrupt me if you need to.
No, I just want to make the comment, this is Robert, that I like the idea about the reports and being able to track timing to specific properties and individuals. I think that's pretty cool.
Good. There's so many, too, over here, Robert, that I try to tell people that there's probably going to be a good 20 to 30% of these reports that you pull all the time. The other ones, you might not pull all the time, but they come in extremely handy to already have them here if you ever do need something. So what I've told a lot of our clients that have gone up on this is just when you get in there, pull one of every single report and see what information's on there. Because, for instance, the remediation report is going to show you everybody that did not pass a certain course. So I've had some clients before that have done contests with anybody that scores a perfect 100, gets entered into for a drawing. Well, all of a sudden, they have a whole bunch of people that scored perfect scores. However, you go into a remediation report, there could be a lot of people that it took 5 people to actually pass that course, and then they took, again. So there's a lot of different areas where you can look in that remediation report if you're doing reviews with people. And if they are struggling in a certain course, then that's when you can step in. So that's a great report to pull. Training hours. This is going to go based on whatever the hours are on the course. So not necessarily how long they were actually in the course, but the full number. And this, again, is helpful because if you pull this and you realize the average is, 15 hours every quarter that people are taking in courses, and you have someone that's got 50 in there, then oh, maybe I should pull the remediation report. Maybe they're taking too many, or they're having a struggle, or they're trying to get ahead, and they should be showing apartments instead. So there's a lot of different reports in here that could just serve multi-purposes. All right, the last area in reports is called the distribution, and this is fun. So if you have reporting access, you can go in and say, I'll open this one that we've set up here. So this is the exceptions report. Again, this is going to show everybody that's past due. Well, say that you want this to go out to certain individuals on every Monday, or let's do it monthly at the end of the month. So that way, the beginning of the month, hopefully everybody can kind of start out right, or you could do it at the beginning. And you want this report to automatically go out to certain individuals. You can click these options here, manage your recipients, and it just simply shows a screen of all associates. You can use different filters and pull over those individuals. On that date or actual time frame of the month, the system will automatically email. It will be in a PDF, but they will email that report directly to those individuals. So sometimes it's something where you can always put it on a calendar, but then people might not do it. If it's automatically sent to them, it's easier for them to just open it up. So that's a great addition as well. And this can be for any of those quick reports that you put together. All right, any questions so far before I dive on into the administrative console? You guys hanging in there with me?
Yep, we're still here.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're back to the administrative console, and again, this is going to be the dashboard. So it gives you a lot of information right here. Again, just like the students, there's many times you won't even have to leave this screen. You can take a peek at the system usage and how many employees are going around. You can see a quick report from right here, just a couple of them. Course completions is a nice number to be able to look up very quickly. So at any time, if you just want to see, you're going into a meeting and they're like, how many courses have we completed? Oh, 523. And it breaks it down based on the different types of training. You can change up your time frame here as well. So you can say, all right, in the last 30 days, though, we've only had 6. Then there's the quick reports down here, a lot of different ones that you can pull up. In the middle is your compliance level. So you want to make sure that everybody is meeting their requirements. If you start seeing this dip, there's reports that you can pull to see, again, who's past due, who's not meeting those requirements. And at the very bottom, you have this performance comparison in the current system that you're using, and it is very helpful. And I want to say in the system you're on now, it's a little more detailed because you can go and click on advanced leasing and see how you're comparing with the industry of everybody that's taken our advanced or leasing for a living or advanced leasing course. In this system, because there's so many different variables and people are creating some of their own quizzes and everything else, we just kind of do a rounded information piece of any Grace Hill courses in the system. So it is nice to see if your company number is lower than the industry, that gives you an idea of where you stand and might be something that you want to move forward on. Over on the right, it's going to show you a training calendar, and this is really helpful because this is a little bit different than what the employee sees. This is going to show you every course or every training that has been set up in the system for your instructor-led or meeting-type trainings. So if you are thinking about doing a training with your managers, but then you click on that date and you realize, ooh, you know what, somebody else is doing a training, that's not a good day. So it just kind of helps you guys to where not everybody's overlapping and creating the same trainings on the same days. All right. Then we get into assignments, and this is where you'll have access to all of, there are some fun spreadsheets that is your first round of homework, but that is literally what is the brain of the system, are those spreadsheets. So once we upload those, it's got all of the information in here, and you'll see good old Paula Abdul is an associate of ours. So if we pull up her information, again, it's just another way for you to get in there and find out how they're doing. So this was something that the managers get to see on their employees tab. You get to see it as well. However, you'll see their role, so you can change up the roles. You get to see the assignments, and you can add an assignment. So if there's a one-off course or there's a leasing professional that says, you know what, I really want to advance and be a manager one day, but I feel I need to learn more about financials, and that course is not assigned to them, you could always go in and add that assignment for them, and the timeline of how long they have to complete it will be the same for everybody. So once you click that add assignment, it will just go in there. All right. Then you have locations. It's the same screen that we looked at before when I clicked on that little pin, so it will just show everything that's going on at that property. Then you have your positions, and so if you ever just kind of want to see what's going on, I'll pull up the accountant here. It is nice because it gives you how that position for training is doing compared to the rest of the company. And it is kind of funny. If you guys move this way, is to just, I would say, pull this report, because there's so many times where we'll have executives take fair housing and they do not do so well on that course. Now, they're not in front of it all the time. It's not something that they typically have to take every year, but it is interesting to kind of compare different positions on their overall learning. Okay, then you have your groups, and again, this would be broken up. This is part of the setup process so that you can set up your groups any way you would like to. And the purpose behind these groups is so that it makes it a little bit easier to pull certain reports, because there might be certain, I don't know if it's owners or student housing or affordable or just different cities that you'll maybe want to be pulling up those reports in. We've also had people that have assigned out courses based on the actual group. So it could be something where you do set them up by region, and that region is over a certain city, and that city's got some crime going on, or people are breaking into cars, and so you might want to send something out, just to, whether it's a document alerting them to it, anything else in there. There might be different times where you need to do that. Okay. And then special assignments is very similar to employees, but the difference is, say you have 10 associates that all fail a shopping report, and you want to see when their next round of leasing for a living is coming up due. And for most people, it's like 6 months out. That's not going to work. You need them to take it by Friday or whatever it is. You can come in under special assignments and simply create the name of it. Maybe it's shopping reports dated, March 28th, 2014. And then you'll pull over any employee that you need to meet a different deadline. So you can put in the completion date, pull over all of those associates, and then what that does is changes kind of on a global scheme what their current assignment's due date is to the new due date. And we have an alert called a changed assignment, and if you activate that, then once that assignment has been changed, they will be alerted. So they're not sitting there thinking they have 6 months. They'll know that they have to complete it by tomorrow. Okay. Moving on along to learning objects, this is where all of the different styles of training will be. So you're going to have all of your online courses that we will be pulling in from Grace Hill. Something to know on this is if you guys do choose to move forward with Vision, any courses that your teams have completed will port into Vision. If they have not completed them yet, then they will not port over. So it's kind of a good thing, because then you can tell everyone, hey, if you're 2 hours into fair housing and you don't complete it by this deadline, then guess what? You've got to start all over again. But anything that's completed will come over. Instructor-led training is if you happen to do any live training sessions, whether you have, a trainer do them, a regional manager, somebody come in from outside and teach a class. You can set it all up in here. The students will then enroll in that class. You can assign them as well. But you get to set up the course, how many hours it is, how many days or months that they have to complete it from when they're a new hire. And everybody coming into the system, it will look back at, if they've completed it or not. If they've never taken the class that you're setting up, they're going to be treated as a new hire and have those same deadlines. You can put in a description. And over here on the left are a lot of different additions you can do with any of these. And this is not just something that has to be a live, quote-unquote, training session. It can be a meeting. I've had some clients that have done managers meetings, and they really just wanted to make sure everybody understood what was talked about, and they could test them out after the meeting. So you can come in here and you can add resources if there's something you want them to look at prior to the meeting or the training. You can do a pre-test, and I do find this very helpful in certain situations, because if you're going out to do some training and you think everyone needs to be focused on this area, and you do a pre-test that they have to complete, say, 7 days before your training, you get those results back, and everything you thought you were going to teach on, they already know. And the things that you didn't think you thought you'd just brush over, they're having issues with. So sometimes that pre-test, if you're going to be throwing out a lot of information at them, is really nice. And then there's a post-test. And you can put a score in here. You can say that they have 7 days to complete it after they come to your session. And you can type in as many questions as you want. So this is also very helpful in case you ever have those people that glaze over during meetings or training sessions and you're unsure if they're confused, tired, don't want to be there, know it all, or they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So it's a good way to test and make sure that you did get everyone to understand what was going on. And then you can come in and schedule. So if you're ever planning on doing, a quarterly meeting all the time, then you might as well come in and go ahead and schedule those dates. That way everybody has them on their calendar, who's going to be training it, and you can come in here and enroll certain associates that you want to attend that. So this is, again, another feature. You'll have all of these different types of learning objects, and I'm hoping that you'll see as we go through these that every one of these is just a little bit different, but the setup of it is the same. So we've got these quizzes. Again, all of Grace Hill quizzes that you currently have access to will be in the system. The difference here is you can create your own quiz. So maybe you're going to set up a meeting, but you don't even know what you should be meeting about yet. You can put together a quiz and find out what you might need to focus on. All right. Learning games, not going to really touch on this very much. It's exactly what you have now and not something that you can customize. Documents, though, is fantastic, and this I love. You can upload any document that you have. It's policies, procedures, articles that you've read and you want to scan in because you think they're fascinating, dress code policies, anything that you want, you can upload in the system. And then once you add that new document, you can come in and assign it to individuals. So you'll come in, you can set it up, maybe it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, put a little description in there. You can do a pre and a post test if you'd like. And you can even set prerequisites. So if you want to make sure people understand the dress code policy before they read the etiquette policy, then you can say, all right, before they take this, I want them to complete this class. So anyone that is going to be reading that dress code policy can't read it until they've done something else. And that goes for all courses. You can set up prerequisites. In the documents, you don't have to do a test afterwards unless you want to. I think on certain documents it's nice to do. But know that when they're done reading that document and they close it out, it takes them back to their LMS and a box shows up that says, I have read this document, or not now. If they click not now, it will not show up that they have completed reading that document, and they won't get credit for it, and they will show up on your exceptions report. If they click that they understand it and have read it, then that is some type of protection for you guys that, hey, you know what, you read it and you showed up with gold glitter lotion on and I told you not to. So make sure that you utilize those documents if you're in there, because it really, really is a huge, huge lifesaver. Then we go to webinars, and webinars and external content are very, very similar, and yet they're a little bit different. So webinars are going to be any type of live webinar where they need to be there at a specific date and time. This could be webinars that you might be doing yourselves. I don't know, do you guys use GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar very often internally?
GoToMeeting we do.
Okay. So if you're ever doing a GoToMeeting like we are right now, and you want people to attend, you can actually set that up in this system. And when they go to enroll in it or accept it, they'll simply come in, and when you set everything up, it'll show up on a schedule. And of course, I picked the one that doesn't have one. Let's see if I can grab one real quick. There will be a URL link that will take you directly there. And so everyone will actually get that path. If I click on this one right here, you'll see it right there. So there's the URL. So this does not have to be to Grace Hill. It can be your own GoToMeetings that are live. It could be out to a software system that you're using and they're having a webinar teaching people how to do it. So any different webinar out there, it could be Oprah and whatever it is that she's got going on. So that's what webinars are. The difference between webinars and external content is external content, there's not a specific date and time that they have to actually be there, but there's going to have a deadline as far as when they need to actually watch it. But again, same thing, you're going to have that URL that you can type in here. If it links out to a YouTube video, we will actually, and I forget what it's called, but it's like a tiny URL. So we'll do whatever it is that you type in there, but then we make it look a little bit better so their link is not this huge path to content. We also will try to, when you go out to the YouTube station, is kind of get rid of that stuff over on the right-hand side so it makes it look a little bit prettier. But this is where anything, so this recorded webinar right here, you would be able to put in the link that I send and assign that out. If you have new hire orientation, so maybe you're doing your own and it's not going to be live, but you want to record it, have other people kind of say hello on there as well, then you could assign that out as a new hire orientation. All right. Other training is pretty much anything that doesn't fit in one of these. So maybe someone attends, they get their CPR certification and they come to you and give you their certificate. Then you could say, all right, let's go ahead and add a new training record. It's your CPR certification. You didn't have a score. You just passed it. When did you complete it and how long was it? And you can put in that description. So that is other training. And then learning paths, we are still working on finalizing. But what this is going to be for is if you have a certain learning curriculum that you want to group together and kind of give people that different certification for it. So maybe it is a senior manager level, and once they've completed certain courses, they've done certain things, and they get a different certification. So you'll just group all of the actual courses in here. You can count previous employees if you want for a certain time frame. You can make this learning path recurring. And then this little, I like the certificates. So on this icon here will be at the top of their assignments area when they go in, showing them that they have a specific path they're working on, and it will start filling in when they're, getting completed through those courses. We've got this as a supervisor, but if it's a maintenance one and you want to give different certifications, it kind of changes up what the icons are. So we are just working on finalizing this, but this will hopefully be coming out soon. And I think it'll be a nice way to just really give people that next level, and to where they're not just taking the training to do, training, it's to get some type of certification within your company. All right, we talked about messages, so that's pretty basic. Create new message, you can type them away. And the last fun area for me to show you is the preferences page. This is where you get to customize it. So you're going to upload your own logo. So the Grace Hill logo is not going to be plastered all over this one. And then your colors, if you want to come down and just kind of pick from this quick area here, it gives you a little idea of what the colors can change to. But if you happen to have your number, your HSV, or your RGB colors, then it'll get more exact. And then your hyperlink. So when people log in, they're not necessarily going to know that they're really with Grace Hill. It's going to look more like it is actually your training area and your university. The login message you can customize as well. So it will have, I didn't go into the login area because it's not real exciting. It's just a login area, but it does have this message in there, and you guys can customize it. Plus, we have all the little similar word formatting areas, so you really can, if there's a certain announcement that you want to put, if you want to list your top 10 superstars who scored perfect scores, you could do any of that on that front page. You have your email alerts, which we went over a lot of these already. And this is where you can customize the message that goes out. So that email that's going to go out, it doesn't have to have a subject line like ours. It could say something a little bit more formal or make it look like it is coming from the company itself. And you can personalize it and even include that Vision LMS link right there so they don't have to do anything. Just open the email and click on the link and take the course. The support message is a little different. So the support screen that will pop up is a split screen. On one side, it will have Grace Hill's information in case they have any technical difficulties within Grace Hill or the Vision LMS. On the right-hand side, it will have your own company IT or who they should call if there's a different type of issue. So it's up to you on what that message is, but it could be something to where maybe it is their password's not working, or which they can always call us for as well, but maybe something's going on wrong with their computer, or they want to know about a training assignment that they've been given and they don't understand it. They can call us, but we're going to refer them to call back to you. So this just helps kind of let people know maybe which direction they should be contacting. And the last area is this test out feature. This is something to where everybody will have to take the course within Vision one time. After that, if you want to, you can allow them to test out. So if they've taken Curb Appeal and they've taken it within Vision and you want it to be recurring every year, you could set up a test out though to where you say, you know what, if you took it in the last year and you at least scored a 90 on the final test, then we'll let you jump straight to the final test. They go to the test. If they pass it, they're good for another year. If they don't pass it, they have to go back and take the test. Now, come another year from then, it will look back at these same parameters and say, not so fast. You did take it, but you only took the test. It's time for you to retake the entire course. So it does kind of go, you know, depending on what your recurrence is on that specific course. And this test out setting area is the same for all courses, but you can choose to allow or not allow on the courses. So if you don't want fair housing to be tested out of, you don't even click that box under fair housing. All right, and I thought that I would click on here. This is the little support tab. So if they click on that icon, then this is what that split screen is. So just depending on what your actual support message says over here on the right, then we'll change that up there. In the administrative console, we also have all of these videos that we have put together on how to do certain things within. So we could send you documents, I'm sure, all day long, but if you're like me, I don't read very much, so I'm like, nope, just show me how to do it. This is where you would come in to be able to watch that video, and it literally just will walk them through it. And then this link right here, this little Grace Hill icon, will take you into training resources. So currently, you guys have access to the workshops and reporting and any training tools. So this will link you back out to all of those additional tools that you do have when you have reporting access. Okay, I have completely talked your ears off, and I hope that everyone that's driving is not falling asleep at the wheel. But that is kind of a pretty detailed overview of Vision. Anything that I touched on that you want me to explain more, or any questions that you guys have?
Hey, Julian, this is Brent. No, I mean, I think the information you gave is great, and all the reporting features and everything. I think Grace Hill has really come a long way.
Thank you. We like it too. It looks pretty, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice.
Very pretty.
Good. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking that we might have lost Jardine as well, but any other questions before I stop recording and then we can chit-chat a little afterwards?
Yeah, we have something,
Sure.
Jillian. Regarding the grouping,
yeah.
I can clarify. Regarding the grouping of employees when you're doing a comparative analysis based on training, scores, and things like that, can you group people by position, like leasing consultant, maintenance supervisor, maintenance tech, to see how they're doing in their own peer group?
Yes. So under, let me show you real quick. If I go under employees and I click on Paula, part of the graph, it's not showing anything here, but this is her. So the user one is going to show her compared to the others, and then there's one right over here that says position. So yes, so you would be able to see if Paula was at, 84%, everybody else in her position is at 86% is what the scores are. So that'll kind of give you apples to apples as far as that actual position.
And you said that'll compare that position by property, by portfolio, by company, and then outside our company, our other peer group?
Yes, not so within the employee area where we're comparing her, say that individual, you're right, it's to their property, their position, and your company as a whole. However, on the main dashboard where at the bottom it shows kind of a comparative of your company as well as compared to the industry, that at this point does not break down any further than that right now, just because there are so many different variables with all of these different types of training tools. But we are trying to work on that to where then you could go and kind of break it down a little more. But right now the company compared to the industry is really just going to be on all of Grace Hill courses that are out there. Your teams are comparing at 86%, and the industry overall is at 85%. So you're doing pretty good. So that's kind of what that comparison is. But there's not another field under the employee area that will then compare that associate to the industry overall.
And then lastly, any outside training we do or any internal training we complete, we can notate that and track it in your other section?
Yes. So what types, tell me a little bit of what types of other training you might want to be tracking as well.
All right. For instance, we've got a new contract with Behr Paints, and we're using certain colors and even techniques for painting. And we want Behr Painting Company to come in and train our maintenance guys and sometimes even some office personnel on sheetrock repairs and painting. And once they've passed that class and they've met the standard that we've set, we would want to keep track of that. Instead of having an Excel spreadsheet like you were talking about, being able to keep all of that information in one place, say this person has completed that part of training.
What I would do, you could definitely put it in other training. Other training is kind of an after-the-fact type, hey, let's go in and plug this in that you got it. But it sounds like that might be something that is moving forward, and you might do that very often. So I would probably set that up as instructor-led training. So you could come in and set it up. You can even put that person in who's going to be coming to do the training as an instructor in the system. So you would come in and set up Behr Painting 101, how many hours it is, what day it is, schedule it. And you don't have to do a post-test or a pre-test, but what's nice is when you assign the individuals, whether it is maintenance or if it's an office team member that's going to be attending, you can enroll them from right here. And when they complete that class and you close this out, they'll actually get a certificate that's not a Grace Hill certificate. It's going to be a template that we create as part of the setup that will have your logo on it, and whoever you decide that you want to be the one signing on those certificates, their certificate at the bottom. So they'll actually get one that says Behr Painting 101, the date they completed it, and they'll have that for their records. And if you do it with other training, there won't be a certificate. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but it would show up under instructor-led and track it, and then it also reminds them the day before it's due, and then when it's past due that they missed it as well.
Perfect.
Well, that was a good question. I like that Behr Paints thing. That's neat. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording. I'm still going to stay on the line, but I'm just going to